The response to my Normalize Normal Bodies video really got me thinking about the way that body positivity is positioned as a gateway for people who are in thin and average size bodies. And what that means is that often when fat people talk about how the body positivity movement came from fat activism, people in more socially approved bodies and thin and average size bodies took the concepts of fat activism and turned them into body positivity and turned it into a whole derivative movement. And in doing so, capitalized on all this hard work that fat folks did, and particularly BIPOC, black and other people of color, and fat black queer folks. All the hard work that was done over 50 years and turned it into a very commercialized movement that really centers thin people, essentially, people with a lot of thin privilege, those who can work with brands and so on. And so all those concepts and all this liberation work came from fat activism. And when fat people point that out, the pushback that we often get first is, well, body positivity is a gateway. It's a way that people in more normative bodies can come in and learn to be allies to fat people and learn to push back on fat phobia and learn to get an introduction so that then they can move into these more difficult concepts of not just body acceptance for the self, but body liberation for everyone. And until recently, I bought into that. I was willing to agree with that. But, more and more, I'm not sure I agree because I don't think that's actually happening. It's a nice idea, but I'm just not convinced that that's what's happening on the ground. These Normalize Normal Bodies accounts and these body positivity accounts, in the aggregate, I may or may not be talking about your favorite thin body positivity activist. So don't at me about, I'm not talking about anybody specific here. So I'm not picking on your favorite. Don't at me about that. But as a whole, body positivity, both the accounts that influencers run and the movement as a whole, is not pushing people towards body liberation concepts. Body positivity tends to be very centered on the individual, and choices that we as individuals make and beliefs about our individual bodies. Body liberation and fat liberation are more about systems of oppression, the systems that exclude fat people from public life, from healthcare, and so on. And I'm not seeing a significant percentage of people who are in body positivity pushing people towards these concepts. In general, I'm seeing people taking all the hard work that fat people did and making money off of it and building careers off of it and continuing to center thin and average size people in this work in a way that might challenge individual ideas about body image for those individuals who are listening, but not challenging systems. And it's this is why fat people get called mean and bitter, but it kind of sucks to see all the hard work that you're doing taken by thin people, repeated without credit, and the things that get us virtual tomatoes thrown at us and death threats and constant trolling, when people in body positivity who are in thin bodies say those exact same things. They get hundreds of comments praising them because they are saying them in a way that still centers thinness and does not challenge the systems of power. So it kind of takes away the power of the work that we're doing and neuters it and I'm making up new words here, but depowers it in a way that both perpetuates systems of oppression, but makes thin people feel good about themselves in a way that is very individual centric and is meant to build the power and careers of thin folks. So not only are we doing the hard work over here on the fat side, but we've become invisible in our own movement. because the people who are in thin and average sized bodies are not um, encountering body positivity as a gateway. They're encountering it as a complete thing in itself where they're not being challenged. And then we fat folks are still over here doing the liberation work. And it's just being, that work is being taken and appropriated. Um, but it's, again, it's sort of being de-radicalized in a way that is building these careers and these platforms and these audiences over here, but not pushing people towards the real liberation work. And so I still think that the body positivity movement as a whole is a net good. But I'm no longer buying into the concept that it's a gateway towards body liberation.